Are you going places or left behind because you don't have a travel companion? Listen to how you can travel more independently. Dr. Travel Best will bring you the best answers, tips, and hear mistakes so you can benefit.
Welcome to Dr. Mary Travel Best's Independent Travel Guide. This is for women who are seeking new adventures through travel, maybe at a new life stage, and they may need self-confidence to get going. Have you written or updated your travel bucket list? I'll help you get there. I'll respond to your travel questions as well as show you my mistakes and missteps in travel. I wrote and published the best-selling World's First Guide to Independent Travel. And since 1993, I've been preparing to guide you with your next travel experiences. Let's make your travel the very best, like Travel Best. The second edition of the guide will be available in several months, so stay tuned for news. Our show notes are all available at Dr. Mary Travel Best at blogspot.com. In this episode, the FAQ is how to shop for better souvenirs in Mexico City. The destination is Napa Valley, California. My mistake is riding a horse and getting stranded. And the tip is to fill up your gas and battery. So here's the FAQ. Can you give me some souvenir tips for my upcoming trip to Mexico City? The tips will depend on what you are buying, of course. Here are 5 Dr. Mary Travel Best tips. 1, negotiate in Spanish, or at least try if you can. Number 2, purchase silver with the insignia that's official. Ask if you're not certain. Number 3, if your tour guide takes you to a store, ask to be brought to a different store off the regular tour. Number 4, consider buying things from a different vendor later. And 5, buy things easy to transport on the plane. For example, jewelry, clothing, and homemade fabrics. So today's independent destination is Napa Valley, California. My daughter Tina and I had a mother-daughter one-day trip to Napa Valley, California with one of her friends and her mom. So here's some independent travel advice on this destination. Some wineries have regular hours and others are open by appointment only. We went on a Saturday, so the advice for you is to get going early on weekends. The sooner you get to Napa and the region, the fewer the crowds and the traffic. If you plan your trip well, we know you will enjoy it more. Exploring new places is always fun, even if you're on your own and don't do a lot of preparation. Now, the Sutter Home Winery, that was our first stop, and Beringer, which is our last stop. And in between, we had a wonderful picnic lunch and had a great visit to the castle, Castle d'Amoroso. I suggest that you stop at the grocery store before you go and pick up a picnic lunch, maybe the Oakville Grocery. You can get some items like breads and cheeses and fresh fruit, healthy snacks, and some non-alcoholic drinks too. Take a long look at the map before you visit. There are 16 different districts where you will be finding several wineries in each one. What will you be tasting? Well, most likely, there'll be Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay, since those are the most popular. Now, Napa Valley holds many surprises for wine lovers and beginners too, who are looking for flavors off the beaten path. There are more than 36 different wine grape varieties just in the Napa Valley. Someone should be responsible as the DD or designated driver who sticks to the non-alcoholic drinks. You don't need to drink alcohol to have a great time. There's plenty of other things to do. You might also hire a car with a driver for the day, which many people do. Depending on your budget, you can make this a full destination for your small group or just yourself. And you can also Uber or Lyft between wineries, which will cost you between $10 and $30 each, depending on the distance. You really can't walk from one winery to the other because there are no paths or sidewalks, and the area is really not set up for this, unless you're in the more urban downtown area of Napa. There are 2-lane roads that make for some slow traffic in and out of Napa. So be prepared for a lot of traffic at winery rush hours. For your first time, You'll want to sample a few different locations, but not too many so you don't remember which ones you like the most. So try for a circular pattern on the map so you can see the most quality locations, but don't repeat or backtrack if possible. On a previous trip to Napa, I visited on the day of the earthquake in 2014. We knew that the area had a 6.0 quake at 3 a.m., and we went there anyway. The Silver Oak wineries was hit, but they recovered very quickly. By the time we arrived, a few hours later, the winery had mostly cleaned up the debris. They were able to give a tour, and they tried to make it as if nothing too big happened that day, even though they lost millions in damaged wines and materials. So now let's move to today's mistake. My mistake was trusting my friends with horses and going riding without experience. We were renting some horses for an afternoon, and I told my friends that I had no riding experience, and they said no problem. This was going to be easy. That was my big mistake. I trusted them. We started out slowly on horses for a short trip without a guide, and everything seemed to go smooth until the return trip back to the barn. That's when my horse started racing, and I could not control him. I tried to slow the horse down, and I was thrown off into some mud and trees. It was distressing. I was hurt and embarrassed. The horse ran away from me, and I was stranded, all alone in a muddy, dark marsh. I couldn't even walk because the mud was so thick. And here it was starting to get dark, and I was crying. I was so disappointed and fearful of what was going to happen next. So here I was, I lost my horse, and I was a failure. I was all alone. What could I do? So finally, someone came along and rescued me, and I got on their horse, and they led me back to the barn. I was ashamed and felt like a failure. Little did I know that these horses were headed for the retirement home, also known as the glue factory. I was taken advantage of, and it was not a good day. Lesson learned, do not go with friends who say your experience level doesn't matter. Trust your gut, say no, and get a guide to go with you. So today's travel advice is to fill up your gas and charge up. So fill up your gas tank and charge all your portable batteries before driving through the desert. If you're driving any distance through the desert, be sure to get your gas tank to full before you venture far. If your car is electric, even more of a warning here. The extreme heat could make your batteries wear out sooner than you expect. The next stop may be many miles away, and if you're running the air conditioning, the gas could fall dangerously low quickly. So fill up when you can, and then you'll have less stress on your road trip. Today, I want to bring meaning to your travel. So thanks for sharing this edition of the world's first guide to independent travel. If you want to know more, just search for Dr. Mary Travel Best, and you'll find me. Please send me your travel questions so I can help you and others too. And I'm looking for you to travel best. So go ahead and let me know what's on your bucket list.
What's on your travel bucket list? Tell the doctor and her team of women who travel the world seeking the very best. Dr. Travel Best, that is.